Rock Hopper here, and today I'm on the homestead with Ann and Tom, and today we're going to press apples into cider. After the apples are picked, we put them in the boxes, and then they're put in the tub to be washed. Alright, first thing we do is wash the apples.
This is the grinder. We're going to take the apples and we'll dump them in here in this little hopper. It'll go down. There's a grinder that's run by this motor, and it spits out ground apples.
There are various styles of apple cider presses. Some have a screw jack, a slatted barrel with a cloth inside. The system we use is called a rack and cloth press, and you'll be able to see that in a couple minutes. The whole rack and cloth press assembly that I had built. A friend of mine had a road cider press that was made by a company out east in the 1970s, and I copied that and had a friend of mine weld together the pieces that we'll see on the apple press. On the cider grinder itself, I found this stainless table at a salvage yard, and I built the racks that go on top of it and the place where we dump the apples. The motor itself was purchased. We had one that was given to us used that played out after about 10 years, but this was the expensive part of the operation. It was bending stainless steel metal and fabricating a drum inside it that hooks to the motor, and that cost about $600. The rest of it was basically the price of new steel and handshake with my friend and that sort of thing. Dump from this side
Tom's hauling the bucket in now with the ground up apples. And the next step is what?
We have the apples ground, and we're going to bring in a bucket of apples and put it in our arrangement for with the cloths and the racks. So we have a rack already in here. So we put a form down and spread our cloth kind of evenly over that form, and it helps to push it down so you have the same pattern as the form there. Otherwise you get air pockets in there and it doesn't press out as well. And set that in there, and I put it in kind of hard because when you do the second and third racks and the successive racks, it helps start the flow of cider coming out if you bang it down a little bit. Well, at least I like to think that. Spreading this around, it's important to get these corners filled in. I think if you leave them not compressed, then it's going to be an airspace where the cider can build up and might not press out as efficiently. This is one of our smaller cloths, so it doesn't cover as well as some of them do. Some people fold them in a triangular fashion. I tend to do it this way. So I'm going to grab a rack, put a form on top of the rack, and center that on a press, set it down. Grab another cloth. I always make sure that when I empty the cloths and I fold them up for the next use, that the side where the apples was is up again. Otherwise you get more sediment in your cider than you want, maybe. And some of it will get through the screen, probably. And with another bucket. Rather than pouring this, it's best to just swing it up and go down like that.
And so you just keep repeating this process?
Just keep repeating this process until we have, generally we do 8 racks at a time.
How much cider does 8 racks yield?
Usually we get about 13 gallons, I think. You know, it's been more sometimes, then it's been less. Some apples are very dry. We used to have quite a few Northwest Greenings, and they would give only about 2 gallons per bushel of apples.
Yeah, but they make really good apple butter.
Yeah, very good apple butter. After the cider's been pressed out, it's usually referred to as pomace. P-O-M-A-C-E. People often wonder what to do with that. I've sheet spread it on the fields for utility purposes. It rots down and stuff. And next year you can see all these little apple seedlings that come up. We've got a different purpose this year, which Ann can tell you about.
Pigs. Pigs.
Feed them to the pigs?
Oh yeah, they love it. Yeah, they love this stuff.
We'll have to take some of this stuff out and feed the pigs.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's see how much they like it.
yeah, for sure.
The next step is to put it in the press, and I've already loaded the press up here. This is called the rack and cloth system. These are the racks, okay? And you put down a rack to begin with, which we've done, and you put a little form on there, and you put a cloth on that, and tuck it inside the rack, and you dump a bucket in there, and then level everything out, and pat it down a little bit, and put another rack on top, and then this on top of this form on top of that rack, and another cloth, and fill it up until you got a little Dagwood sandwich thing built up. In our case, 7 or 8 different racks and cloths. And you put on this steel top, and instead of pressing down, this presses up. A long throw hydraulic jack here. You can get ones that are electric too, and you can hook them up so you don't have to bend over. You don't like bending too much. And quite a few strokes for the full press job. You can see the racks and cloths moving together more, and the pressure is coming out. They're coming out.
Yeah, you can see the juice coming out.
You might want to slow down, Tom.
Okay.
And it's filling up down in there.
Reservoir.
And then it comes down through the hose
Yeah.
and into the vat.
Right. We screen out the chunks.
Screen out the chunks
Yeah.
here.
That slipped by us. I was looking at my. We have to be careful when we put the racks in this pan and press to get the cider out. The racks shrink and go down into the pan a little bit because of you're pressing out the cider. So you have to make sure that the racks are properly aligned and not in danger of touching the sides of the pan, because you can split your pan by the power of the hydraulic jack forcing the racks through it. So sometimes you touch them a little bit, and that you probably heard that noise before. That's what happened there. Checking it over, it seems like it's got fairly good clearance.
And is that a stainless steel pan right there?
Yes. Yeah.
So that'd be a little bit pricey to replace then.
Yeah. And also, it's a very unusual size stainless steel pan. I didn't have it custom built, but I found it at a stainless steel salvage yard, and it happened to be just the right size, so I got that. And I had to take it to a welder and have a fitting welded on the bottom here so we could have the hose coming out to go to the reservoir, and you know, that sort of thing. When I got it, actually, it had a couple little leaks in it. I didn't know what it was going to have, and my welder friend welded them up.
How much is too much pressure on that hydraulic where you could actually start wrecking something?
There may be a science to it, but I have no calibration for that. I go by how firmly I have to push down on the rod to jack it up. And it's pretty hard now. Sometimes I go by a little cracking noise like that I hear. And then I also look at the stream coming out into the cider reservoir. When that gets down to a drip, we usually break down. But I'll make sure that there's a good firm press on everything before we get to that point.
And this is the finished product right here.
Putting this into the buckets right now because we're going to be canning it later. We can it up in jars.
And have it available for sale, and this
Right.
food co-ops. There's an example of the
A can's
can.
right here.
Yeah, that's can.
Kind of, yeah.
We also store and utilize it fresh in these glass jugs. Sometimes plastic, but we prefer glass, and we're trying to do more and more glass. The field crates you saw outside before we ground the apples hold a little bit more than a bushel of apples. So to get the bushel of apples pressed, you generally end up with a yield of 2.5 to 3 gallons of cider, depending on your apples and what time of the year you do it. This is a gallon jug. This is a half-gallon jug, just for reference. We probably get about 13 gallons pressed for each setup with the racks and cloths.
So what do you guys do with all this cider?
Well, we drink a little bit, of course.
Yeah.
And we have family and friends we give a little bit to, and sometimes trade. And we sell quite a bit of the cider. Throughout most of the areas of the country, I think the laws are that you can sell cider, at least in Wisconsin, you can sell cider that you press off the farm or at a farmer's market. But you can't take that pressed cider and sell it to a restaurant or a food co-op or someplace where it's put on a shelf in a store for sale, unless you have a real intricate inspection of your facility and your process, sometimes including the FDA, Federal Drug Administration. So we sell a lot fresh at farmers market and off here. But the concern that the health authorities have is a bacteria called E. coli. Since we have a licensed kitchen for our jams and stuff, we're able to sell cider that we can and preserve in canning jars.
So we heat it up and put it in sterilized jars, and then they seal in quart jars. And that's become a very popular product.
Okay, and you're going to do that tomorrow then, some of that?
Yeah, and it's all, it's all sterile and it's all canned. So when you open it, it's still fresh. So if it was 5 years from now, it would still be fresh if you haven't opened it, because it's sealed.
We found it best to take the cider up to about 180 degrees or a little more, and then put it in hot sterile jars. That would kill any bacteria that we would have to worry about. I think it takes, at 161 degrees, it takes 14 seconds to kill it, is what I read. So 180, and that was a protocol that Food Authority at the state gave me in terms of safe canning of cider. So
there.
All right, good to know. We got some fresh pressed cider. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Let's try this stuff out. Oh yeah, that's definitely good stuff. Very tasty, sweet, nice.
smooth too.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
And if you let this stuff ferment for a while, does it turn a little bit alcoholic?
Tiny bit. I think it has the possibility of going to like 2% or so. So it gets a little bubbly. It's almost like champagne.
It tastes very good when there's still some sweetness into it, and it gets
A little bubbly, yeah.
Yeah,
the sugars are
champagne-like.
used up. Yeah, that's what's really good.
So just enough alcohol to get Grandma a little happy.
Yeah. Even us. Cider has been pressed out pretty thoroughly, and now we've got it let the jack down. Oh, it's a wobbly sound. Okay, I'm gonna pull our pins out. That held the top from going up too far. Yeah. Gotta bring this off. Set it upside down there. And now we have to start disassembling the racks. You can see it's not 100% effective. There's a little bit of moisture there on the side, but it does a pretty good job. I gotta grab these just right or else it'll spill on the floor. We don't want that. And we take it out, put it in boxes, and I semi-fold the cloth up. So I drop the cloth down first, that goes on top, and Ann is pulling off the top rack there. Okay, and these racks, incidentally, are made of hard maple, also called sugar maple, and tacked together with stainless nails. I'd say it's about 1 3/4 by 3/8 of an inch thick. This used to be the standard of the industry, of many industries. A lot of butcher blocks are made with hard maple. It was considered less likely than other woods to retain bacteria in it, though there's nothing toxic about it. And the claws we have are made pretty much out of unbleached muslin and sews these up into the proper shape and size.
When my sewing machine
With
worked.
when their sewing machine worked. Now, the industry has gone toward plastic racks, plastic cloths. I'm sure we're ingesting a lot of plastic particles from that if we go that way.
With plastics, we can all have even more nanoparticles in our body.
There you go.
Oh, that sounds delicious. Yum, yum. You're heating up the cider because this batch is going to be for sale. Is that right?
Right. Yeah. So we take the cider up to 180 degrees or more, and we pour it in these hot, sterile jars, and then seal them up and
Label them.
label them afterwards, and away we go.
Get them at the where?
At the Duluth Food Co-op, and also Ashland Co-op, Ashland, Wisconsin, and here at the farm, and sometimes we go to farmers markets. There we go.
After the apples are pressed, this is all the pomace that is here, and we're going to take this and feed it to the pigs. Dan's taking the pomace out to the pigs. Those pigs are looking excited. You looking excited, piggies? You gonna get some food? Yeah?
Sometimes you get itchy.
Yeah, they're itching for food.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna feed these porkers. Hi, guys.
Oh, it's not too. I think I can do it. Ready?
Okay.
Ready? Yum!
Yum, yum, they're liking that. I hope you enjoyed seeing how cider is pressed with Ann and Tom here on the Homestead. Don't forget to give me a like on the video, share, and subscribe. Until next time, this is Rockhopper. We'll see ya.
People on a loan are super popular actually have a